You've been watching Channels Television's live coverage of the commissioning of the new terminal of the Port Harcourt International Airport by President Muhammadu Buhari. We ask that you stay with us as we head over to Lagos for the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Forum 2018.
You've been watching a live Channels Television event.
Companies it is that provide the vaccinations. So I give some examples. We have a company like UPS, who's working with Gavi. They've done some work, and what they do is they deliver vaccines using drones. So that's some innovative way where companies who ordinarily wouldn't think they could help out in healthcare can help out. And there are other examples like that. So it's just for us to sit and think, what can we do? How can we, in innovative ways, work with these immunization companies to provide immunization in areas where it's needed?
Technology will be a saving grace within this space.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Because when you were talking, you also even talked about storage. There's also another company who's partnered with Gavi, and what they do is they make it possible for vaccines to be stored. You know how it's important to have the temperature of the vaccines preserved at a certain temperature. So the people who have come up with technology where you don't actually need electricity to be able to store the vaccines at those temperatures. So there's a lot of it, as I said, first getting the word out there so people even start to think, what can I do? How can my own sector help out in the provision of immunization of vaccines? And then the technology, we absolutely need technology.
I don't want to get stuck on healthcare too much, but I know that that is your forte. But you're also in so many other industries, as you mentioned as well. What excites you most about the things that you see on a day-to-day basis, whether it's what your role in the different companies or even just on a day-to-day basis in terms of what you see in the work?
For me, I mean, I'm not saying this because this is the Entrepreneurship Forum, but I think it's the entrepreneurs. I think it's, so going into this, we all knew Africans were creative, we all knew Africans had a drive, but then going into this, it's an eye-opener. You really see how much talent there is out there. You really see how much passion there is out there. These entrepreneurs, you go through, you hear their testimonies or testimonials. You hear when they tell you how, yes, I know the foundation has the funding, the $5,000 we talk about, but when you hear the entrepreneurs talk about what this funding has done for them, and also what even the mentoring, the education, the training has done for them, little things. And you see how much impact it's had in their lives, and of course, by a ripple effect, what it's having in their communities. For me, I think that's the main thing. Health that's where that'll always be my primary center, my primary focus. But the entrepreneurs, it's been incredible hearing their stories and seeing what ideas they have.
And it's so funny because I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs as well, and the biggest issue they have is access to funding. And they don't need much. I mean, you guys don't need that much to start out. You just need a little bit of a push, right? And then you can make a bit of money. So it's the funding and it's the support which you guys are offering, and it's changing people's lives. Tell me, could you share with me your story and how your entrepreneurial mind got you, and of course, Elumelu, to where you are? It's such a fascinating journey, isn't it? And it inspires so many people because it's hope that, I can become like that someday. How do we create more giants like Ed?
Again, I go back to the fact that I'm a doctor. So as many people will know, doctors are not really, they're not, well, either two. I wouldn't say they're not. So before now, up to until now, they've not really been the greatest business people. So, you go into medicine, you think, oh, I'll just work somewhere, I'll just find some government organization. But then you realize it's not enough. You need to do something more. As I said, we don't have almost enough of what we should have. So you decide you want to see what you can do to make a change, to make a difference, and really living with I guess, the most incurable entrepreneur there is on the continent. I was bitten by the bug. So I realized that I had to go into not just working in a government institution, but then create mine as well. create mine, and I guess through creating mine, help to create others. And it's not just, I keep talking about the health facilities. It's not just the health facilities. We know that majority of Nigerians and Africans, in fact, pay out of pocket for healthcare. So it's the health insurance angle as well. So you look at the healthcare provision, you look at the access to healthcare, and then you realize that it's not just enough to have the hospital, but then even how do people access healthcare? So hence the health insurance company. So this basically, was the drive behind setting up along those lines.
Incredible. And you're so right, because it's so easy to fall into the trap of just becoming an employee, isn't it? But you want to be the ones to create jobs. It's said that Africa is going to need 20 million new jobs by 2035 if we're even going to make any kind of dent within unemployment. And that comes with a lot of other things, right? Because if you're creating jobs, you're creating economic growth, your government has more money, can invest more in healthcare, and it's just a total domino effect. Are you feeling optimistic that we can achieve this?
Can. But as Sam was saying, we need to take baby steps. But we need to take those steps. We need to be persistent. We need to be resilient. Because if we don't do it, we will never make a change. So we've sat back for years and we've had foreign aid. So we've had agencies support us, but we've just folded our hands. But, this helps, but it only helps up to a point. So we need to get to that point where we realize that for real sustainable growth and development, we need to be involved. It needs to be a case of, just like democracy, we need to do it for ourselves. Our economy developed for ourselves, by ourselves. So I know we can, because it's proven that if we have involvement, if we have commitment, if it's inclusive, not just and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with aid, but we're talking about sustainable development. So we need people with inclusive involvement. We need people involved. And once we do that, we will see results. Because even in the little sample that we have in the foundation, we're seeing results already. So for sure.
Now, I've got another question which always kind of interests me. You think, and a lot of entrepreneurs think, well, I don't have a medical doctor's degree, so I can't get into anything related to healthcare. But that's not the case. You've got to think out the box. And catching the early developments of cancer or diabetes or problems that are plaguing Nigeria right now might be a solution. So how do you think technology, because you work with a lot of the world-class technology, I'm sure, right now, help people that you don't actually have to be a qualified doctor to think of these ideas? Do you think we need to think differently about how to tackle those issues?
You don't have to be a doctor at all. So we have a few health centers coming up in Lagos. And it will surprise you, or maybe surprise a lot of people to know that they're not even owned by doctors. These are just people who have seen that there's a vacuum, there's a need, and they're stepping in to fill this need. So you really don't have to be a doctor. You just have to be able to think creatively, as you said. So, and with technology, we don't we employ technology in a lot of things that we do. I'm sure we all know about telemedicine. So we're sitting. It's not a doctor who invented it. But he has made this avenue whereby a doctor is sitting in one place and is able to be assisted by a doctor in some other parts of the world. So with technology and not necessarily being a doctor, you're improving things in the health space, in the medical space. And there are lots of examples like that. So you certainly don't need to be a doctor.